Raise your hand if you've ever walked past a pet store where they have cute little puppies in the display windows. All right, awesome. Well, for those of you who have raised your hand, maybe you've seen a face like this appear in the windows. Have you ever wondered where he came from? Well, unfortunately, it's not as cute as this little guy right here. These puppies often come from places called puppy mills, and according to an article written for the Puppy Mill Project in 2016, they are described as any breeder who wishes to sell to a pet store or a consumer over the internet or in person. They have 5 or more breeding females, and they are licensed with the United States Department of Agriculture, or the USDA for short. While this seems fine and dandy on the surface, these are often operations that put profit over the health and well-being of their dogs. Today, I'm going to be telling you more about puppy mills. More specifically, I'm going in detail and giving you insight on what goes on inside these puppy mills and what we as consumers can do to help put an end to these businesses. So, as I said before, a puppy mill is a place where dogs are bred by the masses. It can be hundreds up to even thousands of dogs in one facility. In the U.S. alone, there are approximately 10,000 puppy mills, with most of them being located in the Midwest, and Missouri having the highest percentage of these facilities. For the most part, the conditions in these places are absolutely horrible. According to an article written for Rolling Stone magazine in 2017 titled The Dog Factory, puppy mills place their breeding dogs in small, wire-floored cages. Puppies are separated from their mothers at a very young age, which, if you don't know much about dogs, can have serious side effects on the puppies themselves. And since many of these puppy mills go uninspected, they run rampant with disease, with many reports of inadequate housing, such as dirty living conditions, lack of food and water, lack of sunlight, and lack of exercise. Because of these horrid conditions, mothers often acquire health problems. In an article for the ASPCA titled A Closer Look Inside Puppy Mills, these health problems include deafness, epilepsy, kidney disease, heart disease, and eye problems such as glaucoma and cataracts. Mother dogs are often forced to be bred back-to-back with no downtime, and when they are no longer able to breed, they are killed in inhumane ways. In an article titled An Inside Look in the Dark Walls of Puppy Mills, written for OneGreenPlanet.org in 2014, breeding dogs are often shot, or in worse cases, they're even drowned. Puppies can also obtain diseases. Kennel cough, heartworms, ticks, fleas, and parasites barely scratch the surface. Many of these puppies don't even make it to the pet store, and if they do, there's a good chance that they have one of these diseases. Also, due to the wired cages previously stated, dogs can obtain deformities in their paws, which cause them to not be able to stand up straight on a regular floor like this one I'm standing on. This was stated in an article written in 2016 for friendsofanimals.org, titled Puppy Mills and Basic Facts. And the torment doesn't end at the mill. Once the puppies are ready to be shipped, they can be sent across the country. These cross-country excursions can be up to 12 hours, meaning that pups are stuffed in crowded trucks with no air conditioning or food or water. Now, these conditions are obviously inhumane and, quite frankly, very shocking. But it may leave the question, is this legal? And the answer is yes, it's very legal, which makes it even more disturbing. In an article written for the Humane Society in 2015, the Federal Animal Welfare Act, also known as the AWA for short, which was passed in 1966, states that yes, breeders must receive multiple inspections, provide adequate living conditions, and each dog must receive proper vaccinations at veterinary care each year. Which sounds great, but the problem is that the USDA does not enforce the AWA, which is the reason why puppy mills have been able to be the way they are. The USDA does conduct one initial inspection after the breeder receives their license. However, they're supposed to conduct one every 2 to 3 years. But in an article written for the Puppy Mill Project back in 2014, many mills go uninspected for years, and for the most part, they're only inspected if a report of abuse or misconduct is called into the USDA. And often there is little to no veterinary care, and dogs often do not receive crucial vaccinations, which also results in many deaths. And as for the standards that the breeders are required to meet by this unenforced law, they're extremely minimal as it is. For example, under the AWA, it is legal to keep a dog in a cage that is only 6 inches longer than the dog all around. The cage can have a wired floor. The cages can be stacked on top of one another, and if necessary, the dogs can stay in that cage for its entire life. Conditions that most people would consider inhumane or even cruel are considered legal under federal law. Thankfully, since this bill has been written, some states have implemented their own legislation of higher care for these dogs, which exceed the bare minimum of the AWA. For example, in an article for EmbracePetInsurance.com titled Puppy Mills Equal Abuse by Dr. Rex Riggs, on January 10, 2013, Governor Kasich of Ohio signed the Senate Bill 130, which is a bill that strongly regulates large-scale breeding operations in Ohio. And as for our own state, in an article written this year for Today.com, starting January 1st, 2019, California will be the first state to ban puppy mills, meaning that all mills in California will be shut down for good, and all dogs seen in pet stores will be rescue dogs from local animal shelters. While this is amazing and exciting news, unfortunately 21 out of 50 states still only require the bare minimum of the AWA. While puppy mills still remain legal in most of our country, we as consumers can help put an end to them. There are numerous ways that we can help, and today I will be giving you 4 examples of ways that we can. Now, my first example is probably the easiest to do, and that's just to simply spread awareness. If you know someone who wants to buy a dog from one of these pet stores, try telling them what you learned today, and hopefully they'll think of adoption instead. If you're insistent on having a purebred, then do your research on organizations that strictly focus on rescuing purebreds. These organizations are nonprofit, and what they do is they take purebreds from local animal shelters or from owners who can no longer take care of the dog, and they relocate them to happy homes. Now, if you're insistent on going through a breeder, which, don't get me wrong, 2 of my 4 dogs are from a breeder, just make sure that they are local, they are licensed, you receive the mother's vaccination papers as well as meet her in person, you receive the puppy's initial vaccination papers, and you pick up the puppy from the place where it was bred and taken care of. Do not pick up the pup from a third party location. And my 4th and last example is to adopt and don't shop. There are so many dogs waiting to be adopted. In fact, in an article for the Healthy Paws Foundation that was written in 2015, there are about 7.6 million furry friends that are waiting to be adopted. I, for one, have had an amazing experience with adoption. Here are 2 of my 4 dogs, Sammy and Louie, and they are the sweetest and funniest dogs, and I can say I never regret my choice with adoption ones. I hope I was able to open your eyes and shed light on an ongoing cruelty that has been going on in this country with a lot of us not realizing it. And remember, if you want a furry friend, adopt and don't shop. And together, we can help put an end to puppy mills. Thank you.
Any questions for David?
We write 2 different things on that.